Hey guys, this is another video from me, and today I wanted to talk about the connection crisis. Just living out my final days in Vietnam here before I go back to see my family for Christmas. But I thought I'd make a quick video. Uh, I just been thinking, I was just looking through some of my old videos on my channel where I'm coaching women doing approaching, and I just started thinking about the changes that have happened in society in the last sort of 10 to 15 years and the connection crisis that's happening now. The question for me is like, what's the solution to these problems that we're facing now where people just don't seem to know how to connect with each other anymore? And, you know, in essence, my whole channel has always been about that. It's been about, how can you make friends quickly? How can you create connections quickly? Deep connections that have depth and breadth and width that can last, not short-term connections that are sort of not very fulfilling, but give you sort of quick dopamine hits. And it's always been what I've tried to present and work on with people. But it seems like we're in a situation today where, everyone talks about it and they blame social media, they blame TikTok, they blame fast dopamine hits. They blame the internet and politics. But honestly, I'm not really sure that's the situation and that's the problem, because I've been seeing people struggling in this my whole life. I've struggled with it a lot in the past. And I still struggle with it, but I have plenty of tips and tools and strategies that I know are foolproof that I can use in my life to deal with it. So I think that's really what's lacking in our society. I think that we just don't have widely available tools, widely available knowledge. And I think to some degree, you can blame the internet, because you can say, okay, well, what's being taught to people is ineffective. And that's definitely true. That certain content gets pushed over other certain content. And the content that really deals with creating connections, that stuff doesn't really get pushed as much. What gets pushed is outrage and hatred and rage and excessive sexuality and all of this kind of stuff. And all of this stuff which actually helps anybody to learn how to have a long-lasting impression on another person, or to learn how to be emotionally secure with someone else, and these are the things that are missing. But then again, as I say, I look back 15, 20 years ago, 25 years ago, when I really started doing this and when I had a lot of struggle with that stuff. And I just saw back then that it was the same. It was the same. And in a way, I don't really think society's changed that much. I just think what the difference is that people have this collective trauma now that's kind of on top of the problems that they had before. And so what I think is happening is people just aren't prioritizing in the same way that they did before. Before, you had space to work on it. Whereas now, I just think people are not even trying. They're just like, there's no way that I can approach this. There's no way that I can even tackle it. And when they do learn about it, they're just like, well, it's just too much work. So I'm just not going to bother. I'm going to focus on other things, which is disastrous. Disastrous because, working on your social skills, becoming fearless, developing courage, these are things that are transformative in your life. If you want to maximize performance in all areas of your life, you need to have those qualities embedded in your personality, and they don't come naturally most of the time. You have to go through certain challenges and then pass through those things and then come out the other side to then become more relaxed in yourself and realize that you have some power to do stuff. And what I see is that's definitely not happening anymore, which is hugely problematic, right? And then we're isolating each other from ourselves, and we're having this sort of, what I see is people becoming more, building moats around themselves and trying to protect themselves from problems happening in their life, from problem people, which is really the wrong approach. It's my approach was always really different to that. I had this mantra, this rule that I would always embody. My mantra was like, I wear my heart on my sleeve. And if someone hurts me, I will just love them even more. And that was extremely effective for 20 years. But now it's like we're in a different world where it's dangerous to do that. And the fear of that is very real. And even myself, I've been hurt and it's been difficult to deal with. But I think the difference with me is, even though I've been hurt, I think I have so many years, so much experience of living like that, that I know that it works. And I know that there's no reason to be afraid of other people. Learning to connect with other people is like the most rewarding thing that you could do in your life. I mean, if you're just sitting at home all of the time, you might be safe, but that's not going to bring you happiness at the end of the day. And you can fool yourself, which I see a lot of people doing now, saying like, okay, yeah, I can be happy being alone. And yeah, you can to some degree. You can do that, but is it rewarding? I think that's the difference, And there's just different ways that your life can go if you put yourself out there. And it's obviously, as someone who's lived like that for most of my life, I wouldn't, if I had to do my life again, I definitely would not change that part of it. Absolutely no way. Because it's one of the best things that I ever did. So anyway, thanks for listening to me, and I'll see you on the next video.